Hey, welcome back to the JMFG podcast, just making families greater, one story at a time. First and foremost, I want to say I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. I want to thank everybody, friends, family, viewers, listeners, watchers. Thank you for all the love and support that you showed for episode 1. Got to send a shout out to my man, Javier. Crushed the national anthem. All my military friends been calling me and telling me they wanted to come sing the national anthem. So thank you for that. And now we're, moving on to week 2, which is episode 2 of the JMFG podcast. And today, the guest that I have is a truly most resilient person I know in the world. Great friend of mine, funny. She's Italian and from New York. So I'm going to go ahead and forewarn you right now. It's a family show, but you might get a couple curse words out of her. I'm going to try to get a couple. But I think her story is truly resilient in what she's about to share. And I just pray to God this story can help people out there. So now I'll have Miss Louise Cantrell introduce herself.
Thank you, Johnny, and it's an honor to be here. And your first podcast was awesome, and I enjoyed watching it. So I'm thankful to be here. So thank you.
If Louise tell me that my first podcast was good, I totally believe it, because she's probably going to text me later. I couldn't stand it. I hated it. But no, thanks. I had a good time. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was good.
I'm glad you watched it. So, with no further ado, we're going to get into Louise's story. Let's just, I'd love to hear about it. I've heard it, but.
So it's a horrible story, but it's a story that I think a lot of people can learn things from, and things I've learned from it. So my husband was Chief Warrant Officer 2, Dwayne Cantrell. He was with the 3rd Special Forces Group, and that's how I know Johnny. And we had 2 beautiful daughters, Isabella and Natalia. And Dwayne had returned from his 6th deployment that September prior, in 2011, I believe it was. And then he did like a little short trip in February of 2012. In March of 2012, we lived in Hope Mills, and we had a house fire. And within seconds, I literally lost everything in my life. I lost Dwayne, and I lost our 2 girls in the house fire, lost my home. I had literally nothing but the clothes on my back that night. So it was a horrific event. And Isabella was only 6, and Natalia was 4.
So how, to listeners out there that have ran into tragedies like that or had tragedies like that, how did you first start to process that? Did that take for a minute, or how long did it take you actually to realize, like, man, this is real?
I would have to say it took, everything was a blur. Like, to this day, I don't even know when the funeral was. I know it was at Arlington, and I can remember bits and pieces of Arlington, but not much. But it was probably, my favorite holiday in the girls was Easter. So that Easter, I remember distinctively sitting, and it was pouring rain that day, in a garage at a house I was renting at the time. And it's like the shock suddenly wore off that they were really, really gone. And, like Dwayne had been on so many deployments, so it was kind of in my head, I put it as, he's gone again, and my girls are, visiting somewhere or something like that. And then the reality like hit me right in the head at that point. And with that came all the flood of emotions, the frustration, the anger, the survivor's guilt of, why am I here and they're not, the anxiety, you name it. I had all those emotions happen.
Right. So up until that point, you were still pretty much in denial.
I was in denial. I was in shock. I was like probably like a walking zombie. There's very little I remember, and to this day, I'll meet people that say, hey, I met you before, and I don't remember. I guess it was just a defense mechanism. I shut down everything, and I was so out of it. And at that point, obviously, medication and everything like that. And within a month of everything happened, I literally stopped all the medication I was on. I just stopped taking it. And people were like, how do you do that? And I said, I don't know. I can't live like a zombie anymore. And yeah.
So after taking the medications, you kind of realize, I've lost everything. Mm-hmm. Everything's gone. My husband's gone. I've lost my 2 kids. What went through your head at that point? Like, do I continue to work? Do I want to,
Well, at that point, actually, I was going to, I was taking classes to go to dental hygiene school because I figured it was a good career given I had the girls, and I could work a schedule around working. And I was actually accepted into their program, and I couldn't go because of that. Honestly, I couldn't even read a book. I couldn't write. I literally couldn't do anything. And I was so used to being a wife and a mother.
Right.
That was my life. Dwayne deployed a lot. He wasn't even there when Natalia was born. It was
Right.
just me, the doctors, and the nurse, when she was born. And he just made it in time for Bella to be when she was born. And so my life was them and the house and making sure everything was okay. So when all that was gone, I'm like, who am I? What do I do? I had no idea what to do with myself. None.
So where did you find drive? What inspired you to keep moving? What inspired you to keep putting one foot in front of the other?
I knew, now it goes without saying, a lot of bad days. And I knew I couldn't give up because I couldn't give up because of them. Like I had to do something. I just didn't know what. I didn't know why I was still here. I remember talking to one of Dwayne's teammates, and I said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm giving up, and he looked at me and he said, you're here for a reason. There's a reason why you're still here, and you haven't figured out that purpose yet, and you're going to figure it out. But, I wrestled a lot with wanting to be here anymore because what's the point? You lose your husband, and that's hard, don't get me wrong, but when you lose your children, that's your life. You have nothing. It defines you. Your children are your legacy. That's your life. I had nothing.
Right.
I didn't even have a home. I had no clothes, nothing. And I'm like, and I went back to like the house that burned down. I went back there probably a few weeks after it burned down, and to like look through, rummage through what was left of your life is you cannot imagine how horrible that is. But I knew I had to be strong for everyone else because everybody was so worried. So I didn't want nobody to worry about me. And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm fine. And a lot of it I think was my upbringing because, I came from a very big family, but we weren't a lovey-dovey, huggy, loving family. So you were tough a lot. You didn't show your feelings a lot. So I think that, and it was a bad thing, but it was actually a good thing that helped protect me a little bit from really letting loose what was.
So now, after all this happened, how many times or how much did you actually, because I know you're a big Catholic, how much did you question your faith?
A lot. My children were baptized Catholic, and I'm angry. And I'm not going to lie, I'm still angry. I want to know why. I question why. Like, that was the biggest question, is like, how does God do this? Why would he, two innocent children, like we say prayers at night before they go to bed. Like, how does this happen? And once you come to terms that there is no reason why, you will never find the answer to why. Because if that's what you're looking for, then you're setting yourself up for failure over and over again. And the what ifs, your mind can really torture you. You can really torture yourself. And I remember in the Bible, I believe somewhere it says, our children are only lent to us for a certain time. So if there was anything that gave me some kind of comfort, was that. But then I thought to myself, I'm like, it's kind of cruel though.
It is.
It is. They were so, Bella didn't even finish kindergarten yet.
My dad, when I was a kid, he would always say, I can't remember what it was, somebody got killed, and it was a young kid at the time, and I was probably 10 or 11, and this kid was probably 16. And I remember my dad said that no parent should ever have to bury their child. And he told me that, and I was like, I'm just a kid, so I didn't understand.
It's against nature. Your children outlive you. That's that's the course of nature.
That's how you want it to happen. Right.
And so when that's disrupted, anger is an understatement.
Okay, so day-to-day basis, I know you get up and you think about it every day, just like with my parents. I think about my parents every day. So on a day-to-day basis, and you wake up, you start your day, how do you adapt and adjust to that every day?
every day's different. So there's days I get up and I sit there and I go, well, same life, you know, and I take things little by little. If I think too far in advance, I think too much of what could have been, why, you know, the mind starts racing. So I kind of just get up and take one task at a time. Like I have farm animals, so I keep myself busy. I don't stay in the house. I'm always outside. If I sit idle, you know, my mind goes. I mean, I have a hard time sleeping at night to this day, but I just keep going. I can't sit idle because it's not good.
Now, having said that, we're going to fast forward. I know one thing you've done that you're very proud of is the foundation, which I do wear my bracelet everywhere I go. Yeah. And it's a Dancing Angels Foundation, and they're celebrating life through dance. Mm-hmm. So please, you know, tell everybody about this.
So the way I started the foundation, the way you need a new one, that's wore out.
No, that's good. It's like that.
So, you know, it was literally a year before I looked at my daughter's photos. A year. I wouldn't look at their pictures. It took a while to look at like even Dwayne's, you know, but and I say this, I'm very careful when I say this, but I can accept Dwayne being gone, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
You know, he lived a life, a very full life, doing what he loved. You know, he was the epitome of a special forces soldier. Like, I never knew where he was. He didn't tell me anything, you know, and then God knows how many times, I don't know, he's been shot, blown up. I don't know. He doesn't tell me anything, you know, and I hear through team parties afterwards, you know, his stories, right? And so, but it took a year, and then I said, I went to a retreat, which I'm very selective what organizations I support or am involved with for a lot of reasons, but so I went to this retreat, and part of it was you jump out of an airplane after you're done with the retreat. So it was actually the first time I actually spoke out loud about my girls and everything and what happened. And then I jumped out of an airplane with the old veteran group, and I met Mike Elliott. And when I landed on that ground, it felt as if I could stop a freight train. Like, it just gave this renewed sense of, all right, I got to get my shit together. Let's go. I got to do something for my girls. So then I sat there and I said, my girls love to dance. You know, I don't know many little girls 4 and 6 years old that aren't twirling. You know, if there was music playing, they were dancing. If we were in a store and there was music over the intercom, they were twirling, right? I said, that's it. I gotta do something for them. So I created the Dancing Angels Foundation, and I went to their studio in Hope Mills that they had gone to, and I asked the lady, I said, listen, I said, can I do a scholarship for a little girl around their age? You know, took the money out of my own pocket, and I got up on stage at their recital, and at this point it had been like a year and a half, and I still haven't spoken their names, mind you. And I got up on that stage in front of all these parents at the recital, and I spoke my daughter's names for the first time, and out loud. And it was at that moment, you know, this foundation helps so many dancers, but it also helped me. It helped me heal, and now I say their names proud. They need people, the world needs to know about them. So I said, okay, so now we award scholarships for summer intensives, because summer intensives are so expensive for these dancers, and it gets them out of their studios, their home studios, and sends them all over the place. So we award tuition scholarships for kids from all over the United States. We accept applications to go to programs all over the United States. We've sent kids to Israel, to Amsterdam, to Italy, and I always do it in the hopes that my daughter, with every scholarship, their names are spoken, their story is told, their legacy lives on through these dancers. They're getting the opportunity that my children will never have.
Right.
So it has been a tremendous undertaking, because it is extremely, extremely emotional. It's very hard for me when I'm awarding scholarships, you know, to hear the excitement in these dancers. I'm like, yay. And then I get off the phone and it hurts my heart, because I'm happy for them, but it's because my girls can't, you know. So it's but then the reward is when these dancers write all these letters and say today I danced in honor of Bella and Natalia. Today I didn't feel like dancing, but I thought about you girls and I got out there and danced. I said that's why I do it. That's why I got to keep going and doing it. So that's what I do now.
And I know my story isn't halfway close to yours, but that's one of the reasons why we're doing the podcast, as I'm fighting tears. But that is why I want to do the podcast, because if you can lose your husband and both kids and still continue to put one foot in front of the other and help people, then those are the stories people need to be hearing about.
And it's not a fairy tale ride either.
It's not
like people meet me, I laugh, I smile. People would never know my story.
Oh, no.
I don't wear it on my sleeve. I don't sit there and say, I'm all jacked up in the head with all
Right.
these issues, because of this. People don't know,
Right.
and I've had people, I've helped with organizations where they ignore me, the people that are there for the help that I'm mentoring, because they don't think that I understand what they're going through. And then I tell my story, and they're like, I never thought. And I'm like, so, and in that sense, you have to be very careful who you meet, because you never know their story. You
Right,
can
right.
never, because somebody's smiling and laughing, you don't know.
Yeah.
I've been through some very dark places, and it's a struggle every day.
Oh, yeah,
Every day
but-
is a struggle.
But you came out on top. You're still pushing forward, because up to date, I think you guys was giving, 300 plus scholarships?
We've given out over we've given out over $330 something thousand in scholarships, and I want to say it's 300 plus
That's
scholarships.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it's doing really good.
So you got to think about it. For those 300 scholarships, think how many, not just the scholarships themselves, how many lives that you're actually touching through, your daughters, and through dancing. For that's, to me, that's just, it says exactly what you stand for and what you want your daughter's legacy to be. So just like I told you, I remember at the Beef and Beer, I think it was Beef and Beer. He's like, I think this is it. I was like, no, hell, you got to keep this shit going.
Every year, when I'm done awarding the scholarships, God, every year I sit back and it's emotionally exhausting. It's so, like, I take a couple of days and I gotta regroup, And I said, this is it. I'm done. I've been doing this for a while now. It's been great. It's been a great ride. I'm like, I'm done. And I'm like, I can't quit, because I can't quit on my girls. I can't let them be forgotten, because that's a parent's worst nightmare, is that they're going to be forgotten. And my daughters, just to tell you a story of why I think this foundation, it represents them as people, is Dwayne had deployed, and before he would deploy, he would sit down with them, show them a little map, and kind of give them a story and say, Daddy's got to go help. They don't have houses and toys, so we got to go build them houses and help the little kids, So I think Bella couldn't have been more than 5 years old, and he was gone, and she walked up to me and she said, Mommy, she said, I want to make a box and send it to Daddy. And I'm like, okay, we could do that. She said, but I want to put toys in there. I said, you want to put toys in there? She said, yeah. She said, because Daddy said that the kids don't have toys, and that's why he's there to help them. And when she said that, and I thought to myself, I said, here's this little girl. She's probably 5 years old. I said, and she's wanting to do this. And we took a box, and she picked out great toys, not, little nothings, great toys, and said, oh, do you think they'll like this? Do you think they'll like that? And we boxed it up and we sent it to Dwayne. And I thought to myself, it was at that moment I said, Dwayne and I did a really, really good job.
Okay.
Because what little kids say that? They're they think of so many other people.
Oh,
My girls were so, as beautiful as they were on the outside, they were just as beautiful on the inside. And I thought to myself, we did good.
Oh, yeah, you did damn good.
So I think the foundation represents them, because they would love to see all these kids dancing because of them. That's why I do it.
They're seeing it. Trust me, they're seeing it. I know they're seeing it.
I hope so.
Oh, yeah. And so the award in New York, what was that award for?
So you're funny, because so we've partnered with Fini Dance out of Italy.
Right.
So every year we send a full tuition scholarship to a dancer to go to Italy, and every year they do an award, a festival in New York City, because he has a studio in New York City and then one in Italy. And he said, Louise, he said, everybody voted and they nominated you to win our award, which is the Lifetime Achievement, International Lifetime Achievement Award. And my first reaction, if people know me, my first reaction was, "What? You didn't have anybody else to give it to, so let's just give it to Louise."
You're the last one.
I mean, why not, right? But it was a huge honor. So it was done down in New York City, and so I could kill you for this. So you're texting me the whole time, and you're like, what time is this event and everything like that? And I'm like, oh, here, there, whatever. And then we're in the audience. I'm sitting there, and you text me and you said, man, the cell phone reception in here is terrible in this auditorium. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I look over, and you had flown in literally you just got there. You flown in just for that, and you left the next morning at 6:00 in the morning.
Because we partied that night, and I was like, well, I don't need a hotel room.
Yeah. And it was a great honor to receive this award, because it just reaffirms, all right, I can't give up. People see what I'm doing, and they believe in what I'm doing, and that helps keep me going, because me as a mom, I think it's great. I think I got to keep my daughter's memory alive. But when you have so many people support you in the community and believe in you, then you're like, okay, I got to keep going. Right. And a lot of military organizations support me too, which is great. So
that's one thing I will say I love about the military, and you got it in law enforcement, military, fire department, teachers, or whatever. I love the camaraderie, but I love the family. Mm-hmm. You mean no matter what?
And they're not your blood, but I got to tell you, the greatest people I have met in my life, that are in my life now, are people that I never even knew before all this, but they came forward and they had, knew Dwayne or something like. Oh, yeah. I met you, when Gary Sinise had come to the Cant Fire Department and stuff like that, but I really didn't know you. And then we went on Dagger Dive with Task Force Dagger, and you were standing across from me at the buffet line, and you're like, I knew Dwayne. And I said, really? And it's always nice because, there was two sides to him, right? So there was the dad at home that was clumsy. I mean, he would trip over air. I'm like, how do you survive all these deployments? And he said, his answer was, well, I was on my A game when I deployed. Exactly. When I get home, I relax. So I'm clumsy, right? So he had an answer for everything. So you said, yeah, you met me one time. We were at a party, and you're like, who's that? And Dwayne just said, don't worry, that's just Johnny Glenn. Don't worry about Johnny Glenn, right? And you were on the boat with us when we were diving and everything. And I don't know, I just love you to death.
I remember I say, black people don't swear, man. We don't like Johnny
Glenn. We had quite a few conversations about that. So don't bait me into that one. So, but we had. And you become a huge part of my life, a very important part of my life, and I appreciate everything you do. You showing up at that award festival, and like I said, there are people, that knew Dwayne and I and the girls before, that they're not in my life anymore.
Yeah.
And so you really, really weeds out, and you start to see who your family is, and it's not always blood at all.
So I remember we went to Saipan with Task Force Dagger and we were diving. And for the most part, for everybody that don't know, please go check out the Dancing Angels Foundation. It is a nonprofit, so you can donate to it. So please donate to it. We'll tag her at the end of this so that guys can know how to donate to the organization. But I remember we were diving, and it was the day you were doing your yearly annual fundraiser. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't be there. And I try to be there every year. And I remember I look at my watch, I'm like, I'm in a fundraiser today. So I was literally diving, and I'm underneath the water, and I got the camera and I'm pointing to this bracelet, and he's like, He's looking at me like, hey, get a picture of this, I was like, get a picture. And he's like, what? So he takes a picture. He has no idea what I'm talking about. We get on the boat, and he goes, what are you doing? Like, I need that picture. I need to send it to somebody and let them know that they're never forgotten.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're doing with your girls.
Things now. Like that, though, what you don't understand is just that gesture that you're doing, that you did. It meant the world to me. When I seen that picture, I said, oh, my God, look. It's just, you just don't ever want them forgotten.
Oh, they won't be. And I love when I told you, I was like, hey, we can't post this picture yet because they got to clear it. You got too late. I was like, awesome. It was already posted.
But I did get a license plate out of the trip, too.
That's good. Don't talk about the license plate because the license plate was stolen.
Just saying.
It's already missing the license plate and say, man, don't come looking for Johnny Glenn. Louise got it. I promise you she's got it.
It might be in a barn. I don't know. I don't know where it is.
Yeah. But it's things like that, I think, like you taking that step and being able to, push forward, start a foundation. And that's why I tell you, when you're long and gone from here, you could be long gone, me and you both be long gone, they will still live on.
Yeah.
Because hopefully that scholarship, I know it will, it'll continue because people are going to be looking for it, And those little girls out there right now, like you said, that are twirling, they're thinking about, being the next supermodel dancer, whoever that is.
And let me tell you, dance is like an NFL draft. I have learned so much that they're true athletes, these dancers,
right.
and they work so hard, and it's not easy. It's so hard, and if I just give that one chance for somebody that doesn't even know them to believe in them, to give them that one chance, we give out scholarship to girls and boys,
Right.
It's just exciting to see where they go. I mean, there's great stories, and we're going to update like our website with, where are they now? But one of them, was on Broadway with Hugh Jackman and the Music Man, dancing. Cool. So it's exciting to know that you might have been a little part of that journey. So,
right.
Yeah.
And so for all the viewers and listeners out here, like I stated when we first started this show, and Louise said it best earlier, if she can help one person, just one.
Yeah.
And that's the whole reason behind this show. Just one person.
Yeah, because it's not an easy journey.
It's not.
It's not, and it's hard, and it's discouraging, but if you have at least a few good people in your life, and you can't give up. You just it's easier said than done, but because every day is a struggle, but you can't give up, because I've wanted to, but haven't done it.
You might want to get Johnny Glenn out of your life. My credit score is like 312.
I'm still looking for somebody with at least a 500 for you.
I gotta get that someone on credit score. So me and Louise got a joke every time we get together. I said, "You got any single friends?" She's like, "No, Johnny Glenn." I was like, "You don't know single friends with a credit score over 700? Come on,
I gotta find him somebody to get him a new hat. We're gonna take up a GoFundMe for that hat. It's a sad story. Just poor Johnny Glenn.
That hat's hanging on. It's hanging on.
It's hanging on like.
But hey, everybody! Thank you guys for listening. Again, I say go to Dancing Angel Foundation. We will have a tag at the bottom of this. I'll make sure the editors put some on it where they can donate to the show. And I want to be a sponsor this year.
Thank you.
Hold on. What's the cheapest sponsorship you got?
You got good credit?
Hell, hold up.
I'll give. Don't pay me. I'm not saying I was going to be so good today. I'm not saying anything.
No. What's the cheapest one you got? You got like $100? You got $100 one? No. I'm gonna do a $500 one, but I want you to move with the platinum guys. Give me a little science.
I'm gonna give you a little plaque, okay?
Hey, long as I get a plaque, I'm getting a plaque. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely want to sponsor. I know Derek told me you sponsored last year.
He does. Derek sponsors every year.
Yeah, I want to sponsor every year. Starting up every year.
I appreciate this time, and I hope it helps somebody. I hope I said something.
Oh, I think
worth the substance. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think your story of people out there, and I know for a fact that I just saw on the news not too long ago, these two kids got killed in a car accident, and I think one of the girls was 19 years old. Mm-hmm. So I know the families are going through every day. Families are going through this stuff. So if they watch the show, hopefully they can take something from it and just realize that, even though it feels like, and I don't want to say I know because I've never lost a child, but even though it feels like you've lost everything, you can still continue to live for your kids through,
you got to find a purpose, and hopefully, and it doesn't always have to be a foundation. You just, you got to live for them, I guess. That's the new thing. So. And just FYI, Johnny Glenn doesn't have real Kool-Aid.
Hey, so Louise has some great Kool-Aid over there, everybody. And go to hold that cup up. You see that glass right there? So it's sugar-free grape Kool-Aid. And I gave it to Louise, and she goes,
it's not even Kool-Aid, though.
She goes right up to the big fat guy that ran through the wall. So this is what I got to do.
That's real Kool-Aid. I'm just saying. In New York, that was our Kool-Aid. Where's the sugar and the water? I'm just saying.
Hey, she's trying to keep it healthy.
Okay.
She says, okay.
I can't even get real Kool-Aid up in here.
But hey, that concludes episode 2 with Louise Cantrell. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe, like, and please go to the foundation and donate. And
thank you.
We hope to see you guys next week for episode 3. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, I hated it. I'm terrible. Terrible.
That was awesome. I love you too, girl. That was so good.
That was terrible, though.
That was awesome.
I have to watch that playback. Good Lord.